This four-storey building on London's Holloway Road at number 304 has seen many changes over the years. In the 1960s, it was home to record producer Joe Meek, who built his makeshift studio there. To fans, the building is a familiar image. But what's it like on the inside? Well, I have some archive footage which will show the inside story. This is the view from the front studio window. Even in the 1960s, the Holloway Road was busy, so improvised double glazing and thick curtains were essentials to keep out the traffic noise. When this film was taken, the building had been refurbished and made into a home by the tenants, but there were still signs of the old studios. The kitchen had previously been the control room, where Joe Meek set up his idiosyncratic mixing gear with equipment made by the likes of Vitexian, EMI, Quad and Tannoy. Although it's quite faint, from the right angle you can just see the outline of the double-glazed studio window, which separated the musicians from the technical gear. Clem Cattini was one of the founding members of the Tornadoes, and he's made many recordings in this room. Clem's played drums on hundreds of records, including 44 #1 hits. He still remembers climbing those stairs at 304 for the first time.
It was peculiar actually, because I'd been with Johnny Kidd and the Pirates for about nearly 2 years, shaking all over onwards, and we left to go to Italy. That was the Pirates, to go to Italy with a guy called Colin Hicks, who was Tommy Steele's brother, to do a tour of Italy. We came back to England after 3 months out of work, and Alan Caddy rang me up and said to me, I've been reading in the newspaper, there's a guy in Holloway called Joe Meek looking for studio musicians. Do you fancy sort of going down the studio and for audition? He said he's looking for a guitar player. So I said, why don't you come down with me? So I said, when you going? He said, Saturday. And he said, well, it's all right, because the Arsenal are away. He said, so you won't miss your football. So we went down to Holloway Road, went into the studio, and Joe said to Alan, I want you to play a few things. So Alan just said to Joe, would you mind if my mate plays drums for me to. So we played about 3 titles, something like just drums and guitar, which was hilarious, really. And at the end of the 3 numbers, Joe said, I like you playing, because Alan was, incidentally, a very fine player. And he said, would your mate like a job as well? And that was it. That was the beginning of the Tornadoes, basically. We were actually employed to be the studio group. That was the idea, to play on records, which we did. We did loads of stuff with Mike Berry, with Don Charles, with all John Layton and various people that Joe had. In actual fact, we played for Tom Jones's audition up there, which he failed. Joe didn't like him. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And that was the general idea, that we were basically a session band. And then Joe one day just said, I think I'll make a record with you. And then Joe said, the Shadows are very popular. He said, we've got to get away from the Shadows sound. Why don't we try putting an organ sound on it? And so we did a thing called Love and Fury. We called it Love and Fury because we actually went to work with Billy Fury. So it's like a tribute to Billy. So that's why we called it Love and Fury.
So how does Clem Cattini remember the Holloway studios in the 60s?
It was basically a front room. In the front, which was overlooking the main road, was the main studio bit. Then next to it was like a little room where he had his equipment in. And then there was, past there was a toilet and bathroom, which he used as an echo chamber. It was literally a flat above a shop.
The staircase at 304 Holloway Road can claim a hit record among its credits. The thumping sound on the Honeycombs hit Have I the Right was created by Joe Meek stamping on the staircase, just at the point at which the stairs make a 90-degree turn. I just had to try this out for myself. If the walls of 304 Holloway Road could talk, they would tell a tragic tale. It was here that on the 3rd of February 1967, 2 people died. The first was the owner of the leather shop on the ground floor, Mrs. Shenton. The second was Joe Meek himself. Exactly what happened that day is still shrouded in mystery, but every year, around the 3rd of February, we remember them and the day the music died at 304 Holloway Road.